3, 2. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another beautiful episode of the Sideline Podcast, episode 15. I am your host, Adam Flores, once again joined by Christopher Marquez. You already know how it is.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Happy Memorial Day, dude.
Happy Memorial Day.
By
we
the
are
way,
recording this on Memorial Day.
Just a light Memorial Day for the boys, you know?
Just something light. May
Something
26th.
light. Bud Light.
Monday evening. It is 2:40 in the PM.
In the PM.
In the PM.
Beautiful day here in El Paso, Texas.
It's actually really nice weather.
Coming
outside.
live from the Blitzkrieg Studios. Yeah.
We got to have like a drop for that. Like,
Dude, we can, and we'll just
like
put it on the
audio
board.
drop.
Yeah. Live from
What if
the
we put like
Blitzkrieg
a
Studios.
And then we put like a lightning sound, like a
Thunder. Oh,
dude.
Yo, somebody pull up Logic Express or Logic Pro right now so I can get on that.
We got to do that afterwards.
All right, so episode what?
Episode 15.
15. 15.
15.
15.
We're having a quince today.
Quinceañera day. Yes,
Quinceañera
sir.
day.
Thank you guys for checking us out. Thank you guys for following, liking, supporting the page, supporting the podcast, subscribing on our YouTube channel, and all that good shit. Episode 15.
Am I your chambelan?
Yo. Chill.
Chill.
But yes, you are. And you're a good looking one, too.
Thanks.
Actually, when you got here today, the very first thing I said was like,
Bro,
you're so ugly, bro. You're just so ugly.
Dude, I was still in the car and you were all just staring me down, and I get out of the car first.
Michael Myers style.
God, dude, you're so ugly, bro. Fuck.
It's because you got to set the tone for like the day, you know?
Dude, what is that tone?
Like,
being an ass?
yeah, just be ready. You're going to be grilled all fucking day.
You're going to be grilled all
All right, guys. So before we get into this podcast, you know there's a tradition unlike any other. It's called the Kraken of the celebratory beer, and it sounds like this.
I have nothing to crack today.
Dude, I know, dude. You're fucking...
Dude, I didn't even get a water.
You could have asked.
I know.
I mean, I don't have to like... Never mind. I'm not going to get into it. We're going to start fighting like already 3 minutes into the podcast.
Dude, I think we're like 4 minutes in.
No, dude, we're only 3, dude.
Oh, are we actually?
Just kidding. We just start fighting about that. Just start fighting about fighting.
We're actually 4 minutes in.
No, bro. 4 minutes and 20 seconds, dude. My favorite time, by the way. But yeah, so...
Shout out David Dobrik.
Shout out David Dobrik.
Dude.
Wait, he did that all on purpose? His videos were all 420 for that
I think
reason?
it was 4:21 is what it was. It was like 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
And he blazes too.
Does he?
Yeah, I've seen in a video, like they have a bong in the background, but it's like not supposed to be there. And like they film it really fast and then they like realize they were filming it. So I know that those fuckers.
I mean, I know
smoking
for a
weed.
fact that like some of them, you know.
For sure, him too, dude. You're in
know,
LA
but
too. You
I
just
guess
get
you're
fucking
right.
blitzkrieged all fucking
Plus,
day.
you got to think about like his friend group, the people he was around.
Yeah. Anyways, if you don't know who David Dobrik is, then
You're living under a rock.
can't really help you there. So, okay, episode 15. What do we got on the docket for today? I think mostly NBA news, right?
Yeah, it's going to be all NBA news. We're going to be keeping this one a little short and sweet episode. So let's talk about game ones. We're going to go by game ones, game twos, game threes. And
Damn, I don't even
today we
remember
got the
game
start of
one
game
anymore.
4. Dude, I know. It's been forever. Game
'cause-
one was last week on Tuesday.
And then it's because it just like, I think what happens is your brain gets erased by the next game because it's the very next day.
Right.
So like
You
you're
only
paying,
remember the most previous
you're
game.
paying attention to one series and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden like you're on to the next series and then you're like, oh, what the fuck happened in that last game?
Yeah,
But-
because like nobody remembers like week 14 of the NFL, but everybody
no.
remembers the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like that was just the most recent game.
Yeah, but that it's kind of crazy because I think, well, which series do you want to talk about first?
Well, we're going to talk about both at once. So it's like game ones, game twos, game threes.
So we're gonna talk game one of both series and then game two.
Correct.
And
yes.
then okay, all right, that's a little weird, huh? It's a
I don't
little
think
weird
so.
way to do
Just
it. Okay,
break it up by game ones.
okay, so which one do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the Thunder and the Timberwolves.
The T-Wolves?
The Thunder took down the Timberwolves 114-88 in OKC in game one. Julius Randle was the leading scorer for the Timberwolves with 28 points, 8 boards, and 1 assist. Anthony Edwards had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. And Shea was the leader for OKC with 31, 5, and 9.
He's always
Jalen
the leader.
Williams also had 19, 8, and 5.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is with the Timberwolves is Julius Randle's like a very if he has a good game, that team's going to have a good night for the most part. And obviously, you could say the same about Ant, but I think it really means more to the squad when Julius is firing because he's what 6'11". He plays the 4, but he'll get out and shoot the 3 like in volume too.
Oh yeah.
And so when he's rolling, it kind of puts that pressure on the defense. Now you have to fucking worry about him, Ant, and Gobert at the same time. And Gobert, you don't really have to like worry about him scoring. It's just him crashing the boards and then protecting the paint. That's like what he's really good at.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen him multiple times where he can literally go out and drop 20 points, 20 rebounds, and like 14 assists. So he can have a triple-double any given night. It's just a matter of if he catches fire on the point section of his game, because we all know he's always 10 rebounds is a lock for him for the most part.
Yeah, it's a given for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're that tall too, I mean, come
exactly.
on.
And just being
that shit in
an
your sleep.
all-pro defensive player multiple years in a row, and he's just phenomenal at what he does. He crashes boards, and he always shows up for the Wolves when they need him.
And you know what's crazy is that the Thunder are this good with only really like they can only count on Shea like every day or every game. You know 100%. What I mean? Because that second player, sometimes it's Lou Dort, sometimes it's Chet, sometimes it's Williams. Like it's not always like cemented,
right?
And I think that's what puts them at a disadvantage in a way. Even though even though they're up in the series, but it's just like if Shea has a bad game, that's like almost a guaranteed L right there if Shea has a very bad game.
For sure.
Which luckily he doesn't, though.
I actually kind of disagree with what you said, though, because I feel like when you don't have a solidified 2, it kind of keeps the defense guessing. But I can also see it as a disadvantage for the Thunder because you don't have that solidified 2, so you don't always have that 2 to go to.
Well, it puts more pressure on SGA if you think about it because he doesn't have that release valve.
Yeah.
So then the defenses just key in on him, and then that makes it harder to run the offense. But like I said, the thing about Shea is you can only stop part of his game, right? Like if he's not shooting, he doesn't shoot a lot of threes to begin with, which is good.
No, he doesn't.
Because
he's mid-range.
Right. He's a mid-range specialist and he gets to the foul line and he works in the paint like as for like a guard. And he's a big guard, so I mean it helps. But the fact that he doesn't rely on the 3 ball like a lot of these other guys, like HaliBurton relies on it, Edwards relies on it. For the most part, Tatum would rely on it. Steph would rely on it. He's actually opposite of those guys where he prioritizes the mid-range game, but then if that's not there, then he can still be effective because he's going to draw fouls.
Yeah, I feel like the mid-range game is kind of like a thing of the past nowadays where you're either a big man and you're slamming it in the paint or you're a guard and you're shooting threes consistently. And we've also seen the transition of even centers like Wembanyama who can shoot three-pointers. So
Miles Turner.
Yeah, I mean, we got those big guys who can shoot, and you're not always necessarily in the paint. But I feel like whenever I think mid-range, you think like Kobe, you think Paul George, you think
Chris Paul
even. Yeah, Chris Paul was great. Or Dirk Nowitzki was one of the best ones to ever do it.
Yeah. So that was game 1 of the Thunder series, and then game 1 of the Pacers-Knicks. Actually, the Pacers stole that one in New York. And I love seeing the New York fans so mad after losing a game at home. Why? It's probably one of my favorite things.
Why?
Because okay, so I have this comparison, and I said it the other day. Okay. I didn't say it to you, but the Knicks fans are the Dallas Cowboy fans of the NBA.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, they just, they're so annoying, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so I can say that. And they're so annoying, and then when you see them lose, it makes you feel good.
What? I don't think so.
I mean, it's just because you're going for the Knicks, but if you weren't, you would feel the same way.
I mean, I guess you're right. I am going.
And then because everybody and their mom and every celebrity is like a Knicks fan. They're all there. Russell Wilson's there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw
why?
Dude, Timothy Chalamet is low key a super fan. He was even at the Pacers.
He pulls hard.
Yeah, he was there. I was like, damn.
What does that guy even do?
He's an actor.
Oh, okay.
And he's with Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does.
That's what he does.
He does Kylie Jenner.
He does all that.
Yep, he does. He does acting on the side, but he primarily does Kylie Jenner.
Do you think he's in love?
Probably.
You think so?
Actually, I feel like it might sound crazy, but I feel like Kylie's more in love with him than he is in love with her.
You think so?
I think so.
Wow.
If you look at them, the way they interact with each other.
So that means he's got a big horn, huh? I mean, that's
this
a
is
given.
some E! News type shit.
Yeah, I know, but it's just because, then don't go to the game.
No, I
and
know.
we wouldn't
It's
talk
just
about
like-
you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, Timothy Horn.
Timothy Horn Chalamet.
God damn, I sound like an idiot.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so in that game, I think that was the HaliBurton shot, right?
It was. So the Pacers shocked the Knicks in overtime, 138 to 135. They came back from a double-digit deficit with less than 3 minutes left in the game
done
in
like
regulation.
20.
Yeah, they were down by almost 20 points, and they ended up coming back with literally less than 3 minutes to go. And that was all thanks to their hero, Aaron Naismith,
Yeah,
who
6 threes.
yeah, he went on a 3-point frenzy in the last couple minutes of the game.
That's crazy.
And he ended up dropping a total of 30 points for the game. HaliBurton also had 31, 4, and 11. Brunson had himself a game too with 43, and Cat also had 35, 12, and 2 despite the loss.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think
So they scored, Brunson and Cat scored about 80 points combined.
Yeah.
Like 77.
78 points combined.
Holy shit, dude. That's
78
that's
points
so,
from a duo, and they
That
lost.
is so crazy.
Yeah. They scored
But I mean,
80
okay,
points,
yeah, I guess
basically.
you did go to OT, but still, that's still a lot for 2 players.
No, it is. It is a lot for 2 players. It's insane.
So the Naismith thing is crazy because that's an outlier, right? Like that probably doesn't
Yes.
happen again.
I agree.
Right.
It didn't happen in game 3.
Well,
It didn't happen in game 2.
Well, yeah. Let's focus on game 1.
Right.
We wanted to do it this way.
Okay,
We're doing
I'm
it
sorry,
this way.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
We
I'm
could have
sorry.
just talked about the
sorry.
matchup and the
sorry.
series, but no, you want to do shit this way. Anyways,
Whatever.
dude, just this motherfucking man. I swear to God. So okay, that's an outlier, right? So
Right.
that's not going to happen again. So right there, the Pacers are already playing with house money right there because you should have lost that game.
You should have.
New York has no business losing that game, and then they missed free throws at the end too. Like before
OG
they got
and Cat both
right,
missed.
and so what would have been crazy though had HaliBurton not had his foot on the line, they would have won that in regulation too.
Right.
That's
that was
crazy.
reminiscent of like what KD did when they were in the conference finals. I think back in like what 2019, 2020.
I believe so. Yes.
Whenever he was on the
on the Warriors,
on the Nets.
on the Nets.
Yes, on the Nets.
No, but they didn't get to the finals though.
No, the conference finals.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I get what you're saying.
What was that, like 21 or something like that? I don't even know what. It was the bubble year.
The bubble year. That's
yeah,
what I was going to say.
2020 or 2020?
2020-2021 season.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Okay, but what was funny was when, because everyone thought it was a 3 that HaliBurton hit, and what a
Right.
shot! Like the ball just
Dude.
fucking bounced on the rim, literally went as high as the top of the backboard. and
Everybody
came
was silent. If you go back and watch the highlights, the entirety of MSG was just quiet. You could hear a pin drop in between the ball going up on the rim and dropping through the net.
Even like the little rats in there were like, "Yo."
Yeah, they're like,
They're like, "No." Yeah, dude, but it's crazy because then he hit him with the Reggie Miller choke.
with the choke, yeah. But he later came out saying that it was.
Sorry.
You like choking, don't you?
Never been a fan, really. You know what I mean? I'm a choker, if you will.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, what were you saying? What were you saying?
don't even know what I was
Reminiscence
saying.
of what? Reggie Miller?
No. Well, yeah, the reminiscence of Reggie Miller.
And Reggie Miller was calling the game. That's the
yeah,
cool
but
part
he
too.
even came out saying that it was what do you call it? Like when you do it too early.
Premature.
Yeah,
You know all about that, dude.
Yeah, he was premature. It was a premature celebration because he thought that it was game, that he called game with that 3, but it turned out to be that his foot was on the line, which sent it into overtime, and they ended up winning in overtime by 3. But the Knicks should have had that, even with the collapse of the defense in those last 2 or 3 minutes. They should have dropped and sunk those free throws at the line with OG Anunoby. He was 1 for 2 at the beginning, and he ended up missing one of those. And then Cat was 9 for 10, and he also ended up missing one of those. So 2 points right there.
Critical.
That's the 2 critical points. And you might think, okay, it was just 1 missed free throw, but when you miss 2 free throws combined, that's 2 points that would have won you the game eventually.
But it's also when you miss them too.
Right, exactly. It's
You know
when
what I
you
mean?
miss them.
Because you literally kept them in the game that way.
Yeah. So
Anyways, I was very I'm not gonna say surprised because I've been saying Indy's gonna beat New York in this series. So I was actually happy that they got that win. Now getting it that way is a little crazy and like
Right.
it doesn't
everybody thought it was over. They were calling, even the announcers were calling
people
game.
yeah, I'm sure people flipped the channel because of how bad
2.5
it got.
minutes left in the game, and they were like, "Oh, what a great win by New York!" And blah,
Okay,
blah.
so you know how everyone's like, "Oh, the NBA sucks."
Yeah.
Like the old NBA, that would have never happened.
Oh, 100%.
Like never even
100%.
close to. And that's why the NBA is kind of even better now, in my opinion, is because you have these leads that are
resilience.
not right, and these leads are never safe, and you see
they're not.
evaporate right there with 2 minutes left.
It's all due to the evolution of the game with the 3-point, because Aaron Nesmith doesn't hit those threes, and those are twos, and we're looking at a whole different game.
Yeah, no, they don't even get back in it. But at the same time, if you're the Knicks, goddamn, run the guy off the fucking 3-point line for just, dude. Even if he's gonna blow by you. Right. Run him off the line so that way he's not hitting these threes in rhythm. And then if anything, he gets a 2, maybe he gets fouled, and then he has to shoot a free throw for the and one. But I mean, they were just letting the guys take these open shots, and they really came back and bit him in the ass. So
yeah. All right.
Sucks to be a Knicks fan.
Let's move on to game 2s. The Thunder beat the. Why did you look at me when you said that?
I don't know.
The Thunder beat the Timberwolves 118-103 again in OKC. Anthony Edwards had 32, 9, and 6, and Shea had 38, 3, and 8. Jalen Williams was their second highest with 26, 10, and 5, and Chet also had a game with 22, 4, and 2. I mean, yeah, that's really all
they need
there
more
was.
from Chet.
You know, I feel like the split between these series is like Pacers, Knicks. Everyone's watching that series right now. Thunder, T-Wolves. It's like,
well, it's because you have in the Knicks series against the Pacers, you have 2 true historic NBA franchises.
Yeah.
Right. And no disrespect to OKC, but they weren't even around 20 years ago as a franchise. They're the Seattle Supersonics. So
when did that transition happen?
Well, that was KD's first year.
08?
So like
09?
07, 08 maybe? I can't remember. But anyways,
I was 4.
that's why the popularity, or that's why the eyes are on the Pacers series, because you have those 2 franchises. And I just think that, I mean, because you can't say that they're playing better basketball than the OKC series, because that series is probably actually, you have, I don't know, it's hard to compare those 2 series.
I've been saying it since the beginning of the 3rd round, is that whoever wins the East wins the finals.
I agree with that.
I highly agree with that, because you look at the way the Pacers and the Knicks are just going back and forth, and we've seen both teams blow a 20-point lead, or you can look at it the other way and say those teams came back from a 20-point deficit, and they were that resilient to not give up on the game, and they can go on those runs. And like Chris said, like no lead is safe at all in these finals, or in these conference finals. So especially if we see the Pacers even go up against the Thunder, I think the Pacers can take out the Thunder at this rate.
I just think they have a better roster from top to bottom. And like I said, the Thunder need more games like that from Chet, because he literally has the ability to score from anywhere, and he can impact the game with his defense and his rebounding. But I feel like he plays too fast. Like he tries to rush things. And sometimes I think if he would just settle down and back a guy into the paint and then just do a little Dirk fucking jump shot over them, I mean, who's going to stop that? He's so big and so tall that it's going to be hard to contest a fadeaway jump shot like that.
Yeah, you know what I don't like by Chet's game is, I know he's a forward, I know he's not a center, but he has the ability to get 12 boards a game, and he just doesn't.
No, he stays on the perimeter.
I think that's where he lacks, though.
But at the same time, that's fine, because that's why you have Hardenstein.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Hardenstein's like, his job is to rebound. You know what I mean? And like protect the paint.
Well,
Chet can do that like when he rotates over, but
in game 2, your leading rebounder was Jalen Williams with 10, and you had Hartenstein with 8. So, and then your next one was a fall off from there. It's Chet with 4, and I mean, yeah, you That's still crazy. Won, but to go from 10 all the way to 4 for your second guy behind you, I think that's a problem.
And then on the reverse side with Minnesota, just like I said, Julius Randle has a fucking terrible game. And he got benched, I think, the whole 4th quarter.
Yeah, he had a triple. He had a what you call a triple single.
Like that's crazy.
He had
dude.
6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists that game. It was embarrassing. And he played 32 minutes. It's not like he played like 10 minutes. He played 32.
Yeah, and like I said, they benched him the whole 4th just because he just was
and
not.
Rudy Gobert had a horrible game too. 5 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist.
You would think he would just walk on the court and score 5 points somehow.
You'd think so.
It's
You'd
like
think it's automatic 5 points from someone like him.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it should be easy for him.
Right. No, I agree. I highly agree.
But yeah, so then that series goes
2-0.
2-0, and the Thunder, they
Look like they could potentially sweep the Wolves at this point. The
right,
way
but,
that
but
they were playing.
at the same time, they took advantage of playing at home, and they got there and they won the 2 games at home. They didn't let the Timberwolves steal.
Right.
Which on the other side in the East, you had Indy that was stole the first game at home, and then they end up winning game 2 actually again.
They end up winning game 2, 114-109. So the Pacers went into MSG and completely shocked the Knicks. And
that was the Pascal Siakam game right there.
Yes, that game belonged to Pascal Siakam, who dropped 39 points, 5 boards, and 3 assists. And dropping 39 points for Pascal Siakam was an absolute.
It was a clinic.
It was a clinic from Siakam. Nobody could stop him from the get-go. From 2 minutes into the game, or I think 30 seconds into the game is when he had his first points, and he just didn't stop. He had 40 points the entire game with 39, and nobody could stop him. There was no defense from Karl Anthony Towns. There was no defense from Josh Hart. Like, usually the guys that step
OG.
up, OG, or even Mitchell Robinson, like those guys that step up and play good defense towards the back end of the game, they were nowhere to be found. And Pascal Siakam was just having his way with this Knicks team.
And I look like an idiot because I said he was like the worst 2 left in the playoffs.
And
so
what did
he
I
dropped
tell you?
40 points.
Yeah, I told you. I was like, I feel like you're discrediting Siakam.
I wasn't discrediting him because he is good and he is an NBA champion. We do forget that. But
who did he win with?
With Toronto.
He was on that team?
Yeah, he was on that team.
With Kawhi?
Yeah, with Kawhi, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, a young Siakam, like rookie year.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Fred VanVleet also on that team.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka.
Who else was on that team? The guy from the Clippers, Norman Powell. That was a pretty solid team if you think about it.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, so but yeah, like I was saying, Siakam, he showed his potential there. Now it's just, can he do that game in and game out? And which is where he's going to struggle, because once the defenses start keying in on him, they'll probably slow him down, but that should open up the scoring for HaliBurton or for Naismith as well.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing about this game for the Pacers was that there was six people in total who had double-digit points in this game. Naismith dropped 12, Siakam dropped 39, Miles Turner dropped 16, Andrew Nembhard dropped 12, HaliBurton had 14, and TJ McConnell had 10 himself. So to have 6 people, I mean, they have a bigger rotation than the Knicks, because the Knicks are only playing like a 7-man rotation, while the Pacers are playing like a 13-man rotation.
They play like 11 deep.
Yeah, they do play deep.
Which is good, because that means your whole roster is contributing to the series. So.
Versus the Knicks, you have everybody going for 36, 38 minutes. So, that's classic Tom Thibodeau right there. Oh,
he's
100%.
notorious for running his players into the ground.
Yeah, he's always been like Josh Hart and McCall Bridges are always the ones that are playing like 48 minutes a game, dude.
Imagine how tired those guys are.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the good thing about it is like you don't see that coaching anymore. You're like, okay, you played 28 minutes, like come and take a rest. Like this guy's like, no, you are paid and you are trained to play 48 minutes, and that's exactly what you're going to do if that's what I have you do. You know, like all these guys, nobody played under 30 minutes except for 2 guys. Mitchell Robinson,
Campaign.
I'm rounding up, but Mitchell Robinson had 29 minutes.
Okay, how many minutes did Campaign play?
He played 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the only
he's
guy.
Not bad.
That was the only guy under 10 minutes. Everyone else 36, 28, 28, 45, 39, 29, 25. Like
Campaign's always going to give you like a couple threes from the corner
but
too.
See, that's the thing is that's how deep they go. Is like Mitchell Robinson is their 6. And then you have Miles McBride and Campaign. That's it.
Yeah, they don't go any further than that. So that's an 8-man rotation right there. But yeah, so like I said, I was not surprised, but them going 2-0 on the Knicks, it felt really good.
It didn't for me.
Not for you, but for me, I was really happy with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Pacers had that game the entire game.
So at that point, with the Pacers winning game 2, they were 9-2 in the playoffs overall at that point, which is absolutely crazy.
Oh, the Pacers.
The Pacers.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Of all teams, 9-2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, dude.
Who would have saw that coming?
Nobody, bro.
Nobody.
And then for the Pacers to take down the number 1 seed in the Cavs, and now they're coming in here and shocking the Knicks, who also shocked the Celtics. And I get it that it happened with the injury with Jason Tatum, but even the 3 games prior, they were still having their way with them. So
And they took down the Bucks too.
Yeah, they did take down the Bucks. You know, I mean, it's just both of these teams, I think, are just extremely dominant on both sides of the ball. You have the Pacers, who have Siakam, Nesmith, Miles Turner, Tyrese Halliburton. You have so much size on the Pacers team, including like Obi Toppin and Andrew Nembhard. All these guys are like over 6'4". None of these guys are small guards that are just running around shooting. And like, yeah, you have that with the Knicks too. I mean, like Jalen Brunson isn't the biggest guy, but all the other guys are much bigger. Josh Hart is probably your next smallest guy. I mean, or maybe OG Anunoby.
OG's like 6'4".
Yeah,
6'5".
so you have Anunoby, Josh Hart,
like
Karl
6'7",
Anthony Towns, McCall Bridges, Mitchell Robinson. Like, both of these teams are playing with so much size. And that's why I truly believe that the East is going to win it all, because not only are they playing with size, but they're playing with finesse. And you don't always see big guys playing with finesse. You don't see that a lot. So when you look at the Thunder and the T-Wolves, like, Chet Holmgren can drop 30 points any given night, but it's a matter of how often he really does it. And he doesn't really do it all that often. So, yeah, you're playing with size there, and you also do have Isaiah Hartenstein. But, again, he's not someone who can drop 30 points a night. Same thing with the Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert is probably your biggest threat there, and then Julius Randle would probably be like number 2. But the way that Randle has been playing, it's just extreme inconsistency from the West, all around, from the Thunder and from the Timberwolves. All 3 of these games have been no closer than 15 points, versus the Knicks and the Pacers. Your furthest game was 6 points. That was your furthest game. Your furthest gap was 6 points. And that was in game 3 with the Knicks and the Pacers. So let's move on to game 3. We had the Thunderwolves.
The Thunderwolves. Wow. Bro, how come that's not a team name?
That's actually pretty
like
badass.
Let's see, which city could use like the Tennessee Thunderwolves?
Yo, that was low-key
like some alliteration right there.
Okay, but yeah, Tennessee,
because Tennessee doesn't have a team.
Not NBA, no.
No. Tennessee Thunderwolves.
Or take it back to Seattle, the Seattle Thunderwolves.
No. I like, if Seattle got a team again, they should be the Supersonics.
They should be the Supersonics.
That's just a cool name.
And they shouldn't change their logo or anything like that.
No, yeah, they should just bring
classic.
it back. Yeah, bring back the color scheme, the green and yellow, which is kind of like Green Bay, but like still, it's pretty cool. You have no idea what they look like.
No,
huh?
I did know what they looked like.
I forget you're like 12.
Dude, I'm not 12. You know, I was saying I was 4 when they moved to OKC.
That's fucking crazy.
4. How old were you when they moved to OKC?
Shit, I was like 16, 17
Jesus
years old.
Christ.
That's not that crazy, dude. Like, my bad, I was alive before you and shit.
You're like
Sorry.
45, aren't you?
Sorry, dude. My bad. You always do this shit.
How old are you? 34?
I don't know. My birthday's coming up.
Are you 34?
No.
How old are you?
33.
Damn!
I'm gonna be 34 in like 2 months.
My God.
Literally in 2 months from now, I'll be fucking 34.
Well, hopefully we'll be having a birthday.
Okay, so so did you see, before we talk about Game 3, this is directly related to Game 3, by the way, the Thunderwolves.
The Thunderwolves? Okay.
There was a meme of Anthony Edwards giving a glare. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw the meme.
No, I didn't.
But essentially, when he gives that glare, he goes off the next game. And boy, did AD have himself a fucking AE have himself a Game 3 for the Timberwolves, and they really, really put it on the Thunder in that one. It was bad.
You know what? I truly don't believe. Okay, so look, I was
look
looking
at the score.
No. Yeah. They had a dominant.
The score alone was bad.
It was 143 to 101.
That's crazy.
The Thunderwolves take out the Thunder in Game 3. The Timberwolves took it back to Minnesota, so they won at home. But see, here's
that was
the
a must win for them, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing that doesn't sit right with me. Anthony Edwards had 14 points in the first quarter, and after that, you're like, oh, these guys are in for a great game. They held the Thunder the entirety of the game. They nobody was able to get going on the Thunder side of the ball. But this is what doesn't sit right with me is Ant had 14 in the first quarter.
Okay.
He had 30 the entire game.
Well, yeah, because of the game flow. They didn't have to play him the fourth quarter.
I mean, I guess you're right.
That's the game flow is always going to dictate how these guys go.
I don't know. It's just like, I think it goes back to, listen, it was a great game from Anthony Edwards. I'm not discrediting that. He was even good on the defensive side of the ball. And when Ant is good on the defensive side of the ball, they win.
He was getting triple team too.
Yeah. He had a great game, but the inconsistency is what I don't like personally. So when you have 14 in the first quarter, I expect you to have a minimum of like 33 points, right? Like 33 points is like, okay, like you had a really good game. He had 30 the entire game, but he had 14 in the first quarter, and you're like, okay, well, that's only 3 points off. But he got into no real flow after that. It was the first quarter, and after that, he kind of checked out.
Right.
Because like you said, he didn't play the fourth quarter.
Right.
So in quarters 2 and 3, he averages 8 points, which is only what, 3-4 buckets?
That's like 4 buckets.
4 buckets
to the
if
foul
it's
line.
twos. Yeah, so 3 buckets if it's trips to the foul line. So I don't know. I feel like it's still inconsistency from Anthony Edwards, and maybe I'm just hating, but that's just how I see it from him.
Like I said, I mark it up to game flow because if the game's close, he probably scores over 40 in that game if it stays close the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, he did play 30 minutes.
And then the Thunder, like, they kind of threw in the towel at like some point. Like,
yeah, it was like halfway into the third quarter. They were like, all right, let's just not injure anyone and let's throw in our bench.
Yeah. We're up
this is the biggest
2-0.
rotation.
We're up 2-0. Let's save it for the next game. Let them get one at home.
Yeah.
And we'll
because you couldn't even call this a rotation. They threw out like 16 guys.
They played guys
3.
that normally won't see the floor. We're seeing the floor with who did you say their leading scorer was?
Their leading
AJ
scorer,
Griffin?
No, AJ Mitchell.
Oh, AJ Mitchell. Okay,
It was between AJ Mitchell and Shea. Both of them had 14, and Jalen Williams had 13. And again, Chet only 10 points. So
Chet.
You're a forward. You're over 7 feet tall. I expect you to score 15 points a game.
And then he scores 10.
How are you just stopped by this? I don't get it.
Sounds about white.
Jesus Christ. I
was
think
waiting for that.
Chet and Anthony Edwards, both of them, they're not in the same level. I'm not saying they are. Anthony Edwards is a whole entire tier above Chet, but both of them, their inconsistency just really pisses me off. And I think that both of them are hyped up to be these star players. And I'm not saying Chet is hyped up as much as Anthony Edwards, but they are hyped up to be star players of the future. And if they continue playing this way, I wouldn't consider them stars. Like, they're not dropping 31 points a night. Like, they can drop 31 points any given night, but they're not dropping 31 points a night, which is what Karl Anthony Towns is doing over there. What Shea is doing.
Typically, what he'll do is drop 30.
Even what HaliBurton does. Like, HaliBurton, like, okay, he may not drop 31 points, but he's dropping a consistent double-double.
Yeah, he drops and recently, I mean, his scoring's been a little bit down, but his assists are out of this world.
Average assists are like 9.
And his player, his percentage rating, he probably is a player that's super high on the plus side of that.
100%.
So whenever he's on the floor, you're gonna get more good out of him than you are gonna get bad.
Oh, agreed.
But anyway, back to Chet. I think Chet is okay.
He's just okay, and that's what kind of pisses me off.
Which is kind of fine because you don't want him trying to be the alpha when you have Shea on your team. You know what I mean? Because Shea has already shown you he's the best one. By far.
Right. Of course. I mean, he's MVP. He won MVP.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of better that Chet is kind of just morphing into kind of like a role player.
Kind of going back to what you said, though, is they don't have a solidified 2, though.
No, yeah. That's what I was saying.
I feel like Jalen Williams is more of the solidified 2 than Chet.
Well, he was an
is.
all-star this year.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to discredit Jalen Williams, but when you have Chet on that team, you would assume that Chet would be the 2.
But at the same time, it has to be easier for those guys because SGA is on the court. So he demands so much attention from the defense.
Yeah. I mean,
so you would think you just have to be a consistent knockdown shooter and you're gonna score points.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that's not what Chet has been in this
series.
No.
Hell no. Not him. But someone like Lou Dort can thrive in a system like that.
Right.
Because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. And it's just Shea's just a driving kick guy. There's Dort in the corner, 3-ball, money. There you go. Cash.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our final game. We got game 3 of the Knicks, who finally took a game in Indianapolis, 106-100. And Cat, the big cat, not the big dog, the big cat was the story of this game. He completely took over in the fourth quarter, dropping 20 points in a single quarter, totaling to 24, 15, and 1. So he had 24 points, 15 boards, 1 assist. Brunson also had himself 23 points. And the other storyline of this game was that Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns were both in foul trouble
going into the second half.
Right, going into the second half. I think Cat had 4 himself going into the half, and Brunson had 3. And eventually they both racked up to 5, but neither one of them got ejected to end the game. They both ended the game on the court, or on the bench, actually. Brunson ended the game on the bench just because of the score at the very end. The way they were playing defense, and they were playing big on the court. They had McCall Bridges and Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart all on the court. And I think OG was out there too, just because he probably plays a little bit better defense than
see
Brunson.
that Thibodeau had to go deeper into his bench because of the foul trouble.
Right.
So I saw somebody pose the question, does the foul trouble of Cat and Brunson actually benefit the Knicks in that game, because it forced Thibodeau to go play players that weren't playing so much, and they had a bigger impact getting them back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was the highest game by Miles McBride that had 15 minutes and 9 points.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. Like, you have that foul trouble, but it actually kind of benefited you in a weird way.
Right, and then on the Pacers side of the ball, it was mediocrity out of the team. There wasn't anything.
Hallie had 20.
Yeah, I mean, Hallie had 20. Miles Turner had 19. Siakam had 17.
Not a shell of himself.
Right. So no one really took over in this game. They were extremely consistent and extremely, I guess you could say, dominant in the first half. They were up 55-35
at half.
And everybody was like, all right, this is it. Like, the Pacers are winning it all. They can already smell the finals. Like, they're up 3-0. And going into half, the Knicks caught a little bit of fire, dropping the lead down to 13, and eventually they caught fire in the fourth quarter, dropping the lead all the way down to 1, and then they finally took the lead. And I think that was their first lead since like 2-0 in the game. So it took probably 44 minutes of the game for them to gain the lead back. And like Chris said before, no lead is safe in these series, and it showed time and time and time again,
especially in that series too.
Yeah, I mean,
like in that series, it's like,
oh my God, they're up 20-0, it's game over. Like, no, in this series, it's like, you're up 20-0, careful. These guys are about to come back.
It's kind of like almost the opposite. Like, oh, you guys are up 20, you guys are finna lose.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're up 20? Watch this.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
Dude, but that is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's good because, like, had Indy won, right, and they were up 3-0,
right,
with game 4 back in Indy again.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the Knicks going out like that, like swept like that. Dude,
you know what?
That would have been crazy.
Okay, look, this is the thing: is I was rooting for the Knicks, and I thought the Knicks could take it, but I did say off camera that if the Pacers somehow win both games in MSG, the Pacers will take the series. So I still think the Pacers are going to win the series the way it's been going, but I knew that the Knicks were too talented to get swept. You have Josh Hart, who I absolutely love, Jalen Brunson, who I love, Karl Anthony Towns, who I love, and I don't love them just because of who they are. Like, they're extremely, extremely, extremely talented, and Tom Thibodeau is a fantastic coach. So these guys were too talented to get swept, and it showed that the resilience of this team is just not going to let them get swept. And maybe they even take game 4 in Indianapolis, but we'll find out tomorrow. Today we got game 4 of the Thunder and the T-Wolves. Who do you have for that game? Who do you have game 4? The way it's been going, I mean, home teams have been predominant in this series. So,
well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I still think the most important player in this series is Julius Randle.
So you think if Randle has a good game, they win?
I think if he has a good game, it just puts so much pressure on the rest of the Thunder roster to step up.
Right.
And it like, if Randall's firing, especially if he's hitting threes, then because Ant's gonna get his, you know what I mean? Like, he always does in a way.
Right.
And it's probably not always the most flashy, or like, it's not like, because I get you get frustrated with him. I do too. But at the end of the day, like, he hits these shots where you're just like, Jesus Christ, nobody else is hitting those. But I think Julius is. They kind of go at the pace of him and his scoring. So if he can find a way just to get hot kind of early, that's going to put a lot of, like I said, a lot of pressure on Chet and Lou Dort and all these guys to step up and contribute, because on the same token as Ant getting his, Shea's going to get his as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That game could go either way. I would like it for the Thunder to win, just to even it up. You know what I mean? Keep these series very competitive, because we're going to be running out of basketball soon, and I'm probably going to be very depressed at that point.
I'm probably going to be very depressed.
I mean, dude, like the NBA
NBA
playoffs is like literally the best time of the year, dude.
Yeah.
Like, think about how many games, how many storylines we've had to talk about. Like, and this is still, like I said, without two of the best players in the league being in the playoffs, or three without LeBron, Tatum, Luka, or Steph.
We will be done with basketball in a month. No
That sucks.
matter who wins. In 1 month from today, basketball will be over.
Okay, stop reminding me, dude. I get it.
Just saying.
And then football.
Less than 30 days.
Football.
We got less than 30 days, guys.
But yeah, with that being said, make sure to really appreciate these NBA games as they go down.
So I'm going to take...
I'm going Timberwolves just to make it a competitive series. Like I said, I want to see as many games as possible. So I want them to win, tie it up. Let's take it back to OKC and let's go from there.
Yeah, and I would say the same about the Knicks and Pacers. I would like to see the Knicks take Game 4 and, like Chris said, make it as competitive as possible. Maybe we can get 2 Game 7s out of these
That'd be
series.
cool.
That would be really cool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
the good thing about like the NBA at this level is that you rarely see sweeps at this level.
Yeah,
because like somebody is gonna have a game. And honestly, when a team goes down 3-0, like when they're facing elimination, like it's hard to account for the desperation that they feel. So like they come out and play like some of their best basketball when their backs are up against the wall.
Right.
You know?
It call me crazy, but I think aside from the Timberwolves,
You're crazy.
I think aside from the Timberwolves, I don't know how to say it without like sounding stupid, but these are the best teams left. Like it's not like other teams got knocked out like due to injury or like.
Well, I still think the Warriors would be there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Aside from the Timberwolves, I think these are the best teams left. Like,
yeah, I mean,
complete teams.
Yeah,
these are the best teams. Like
the Thunder, number one seed in the West, in the playoffs, best record in the NBA. Cleveland, we all kind of knew that was like kind of like a hoax. And like I said, playing in the East just makes things a lot easier. You know what I mean? Because the East is top heavy, but then that's it. Like you get past
it kind of dwindles out after like the 4 seed.
Like the 5th seed is even decent, but like after that, like you're playing bottom feeders. Like you got Washington in the East, you got Orlando in the East, you got Atlanta, you got teams like the 76ers, the Heat,
Sixers, the
like
Hornets.
The Hornets, just some bad teams overall. In the West, you have some bad teams, but not nearly as many.
Like a bad team right now is the Spurs, and they're on the rise.
Right. And like I mean, you could say like even prior to this year, Houston was historically a bad team.
Yeah.
Memphis was actually pretty bad this year. The Jazz were also really bad.
The Jazz are horrible.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, everybody else in the West was competitive again this year. Anyone from like the Warriors to the Clippers to the Lakers, all those teams were very, very, very competitive. The Rockets were very competitive as well. So I just think in the East, you have to be very careful about who wins the number 1 seed on that side, because it doesn't always show the true picture of like how the playoffs are going to play out, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, that just about does it for episode 15 of the Sideline Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you did enjoy, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, comment, share. Anything you want, share with your, like I said, I always say with your gym teacher and your history teacher. I know school is coming to an end, so let them know before you graduate, guys, because I know some of you guys, maybe you guys are still in high school, you know? Share with your crush. Maybe they'll like them. Yeah, be like, hit them with some Riz. Be like, yo, I know this podcast.
I've been listening to this pod.
I've been listening to these guys.
They're
and these
local.
guys low-key know ball.
Like, and then the girl's like, okay, I don't care. Like, I don't like basketball.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? But
dude, if she says that Curry is not the GOAT, then just leave her. She's not the one.
She's too young for you, bro.
She's too young. She don't know ball like that. Follow us on TikTok. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing, and we will see you next time. We are out.
Peace.